Hi, welcome to Box on the Box Rock and Celluloid, Botbrack for short. I'm Edward Box. So today I'm going to be looking at Michael Schenker's new album, My Years with UFO. So this is basically a kind of tribute, look back at his time with UFO. These are re-recorded versions of Michael on guitar and various guest musicians. And principally the choice of songs is kind of like your Strangers in the Night set list, minus I'm a Loser. And I'm not sure what other track, but there's one of them anyway. So let's kick off. It starts with a natural thing. The first thing you notice is how much heavier the guitar sound is. So this has got a full sort of modern Marshall sound. The guitar sounds double tracked. It's quite a bit of reverb delay on it. It's kind of got a live feel. That's what I've gone for. Quite an open drum sound. And Dee Snider does the vocals on this. This I find interesting. I think Dee Snider's a really underrated singer, and no heavy petting. I know I read in his book is one of his favourite albums of all time, so there's obviously a real passion here for this track, and I think it comes through. I think Dee does a good job. He's clearly probably sung this as a cover version quite a bit at other times in his life, I would imagine. And it comes through. Not always my favourite UFO track. Always been a sort of opener. There's other tracks I prefer off the No Heavy Petting album. Sorry. But this is a decent version. There's a good solo trade-off with Joel Hoekstra, who always does a good job. So then you're into Only You Can Rock Me. I think this is possibly the best version, redone version on the album. Joey Tempest does the vocals on this. Again, another huge UFO fan. It's common knowledge Europe. Massive UFO Schenker fans. Again, I suspect Joey's probably sung this in his younger days, and it really suits him, the vocal range on this, where his voice is at the moment. The way he cuts his phrasing off, he kind of does it in a slightly laconic style. I really like it. Michael kind of interprets his classic solo with that down, 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 the classic melody. It's interesting hearing what's changed on Michael's sound. Obviously his tone's a lot thicker. With the modern technology back in the day, he would use a half-cocked wah-wah to get more sort of brightness, more harmonic bite to the sound, and this was just something that other people modelled, and particularly Marshall when they developed their JCM 800. This is the kind of tone they copied. Then other metal bands got those amps, and it became the sort of standard sound for New Wobham and beyond, really. These days, his vibrato seems a bit wider, a bit slower. His tone's sort of thicker, but he's still quintessentially Michael. One of the things that impresses me about him, not so much on some studio recordings, but certainly live, and here he's mimicking live stuff. He can still cut it. He turns 70 next year. I think it's January 26th, his birthday, so he's 69 now. It's not easy to keep up this level, and I think Michael's done a really good job, particularly in the last 10 years or so, getting his band out live and really delivering on the stage, which you've got to do, really, to survive. Next up is Doctor Doctor. Again, a song I've heard too many times. This is the de rigueur UFO track. Again, it's not one of my favourite UFO tracks. Never has been, to be honest. But obviously, it is an evergreen classic of classic rock. Joe Lynn Turner does the vocals on this. He does a good job. I've heard Joe Lynn Turner do better vocals. He's another singer whose vocals have survived quite well intact. His tone's a bit lower, a bit deeper, but he's taking care of himself. Again, that very live sound with very big drums. Principally the drums on this album done by Carmen Apache and Brian Tichy, Barry Sparks on bass. We'll maybe come up how this has been put together at the end. So if you like Doctor Doctor, there's no reason why you wouldn't like this. If you're wanting a re-recording of Doctor Doctor, the best one to me, and what is I think's the best version, is on the Walk on Water album. They redid Lights Out Doctor Doctor, and the version on Doctor Doctor on that with a Mon production, and Michael's guitar playing is great. Just one other note, I really like what Michael does on the intro on this. He stretches out a bit, does something he hasn't done before. Probably again more like a live feel, very nice. Next up's Mother Mary. So this is one of the most interesting aspects on the album. This is very heavy, by far the heaviest track. Again, you can really hear the distortion on the guitars on this, the pounding drums. So Slash plays on this and trades off with Michael. He does okay. He ain't gonna beat Metal Mickey. Not this a competition, but the vocals by Eric Gronholm of Heat, latterly, most recently Skid Row. This is a guy I think Michael should really hook up with for his next album. Don't have guest vocalists, just do an MSG album with this guy. I'd like to have seen an MSG album with Robbie Romero, another singer for hire. But I think Eric's the best of these. If you go on his YouTube channel, he does excellent cover versions of tracks like The Headless Cross, and he does amazing vocals. He's got real great range, power, and ability to put himself into songs, and he fits like a glove on this. Again, the lead works good. So yes, this could be a sort of link to the future. Next up is This Kids with Biff Byford. Again, a Stranger in the Night track with that top kind of Jimmy Page Zeppelin groove. Brian Tichy does lay down a good groove. The guitar solo, that classic slinky sort of groove over the slow triplets. Great on that. Michael sort of bring out the pinch harmonics more, which I think he always did really, but just the sound back in the 70s didn't really bring those out. Tempo feels a bit higher, but there's a good trade-off with Derek Sherinian, who does all the solo, because keyboard solos in album, and he kind of whittles a bit on this. Always like Derek Sherinian, very good. Biff does a good job. Again, probably a big UFO fan back in the day. I think probably played with them as well. So again, not bringing anything to the party, but a solid cover. Now, number 6, this is the controversial one. This is quite interesting. I can't believe Schenker's managed to get him to do this. But I think it shows the high regard that UFO and Schenker are held with. Obviously, Slash has appeared, and Axl's decided to get in on this. So I do think on Love to Love, obviously probably the quintessential UFO track for many people. I do think he puts a lot of emotion into the vocals, and I do think he generally loves the song. I just don't think his vocals really fit. You can hear a bit of processing here, where there's obviously been some picks fitching and that. I don't know what sort of state Axl's voice is in studio-wise. I think Axl as a singer for me is a bit Marmite. I think in Guns N' Roses, particularly in the early days, he sounded absolutely right. It's that thing where a singer sounds right with that band, but put them in something else and it's not right. Some singers can go to different things and excel, like Rob Halford and Ronnie Dio. You'll find them in different bands, different things. Check out Sitting on a Dream, Butterfly Ball by Ronnie Dio. Sorry, forget I did it, was Roger Glover. But anyway, Ronnie Dio sings that, or Rob Halford covering for Ozzy, and then Dio and Sabbath. You know, guys like that can go into different things. They could sing anything. Axl, to me, he's got one sound, and that sounds great in Guns N' Roses. But a good, cool solo at the end with Michael's classic, but not really reaching the heights of that ending solo. Strings are well done. I'm guessing they've used processed strings, and it does have a good sound. And I like the intro was good. Next up is Lights Out. So this is interesting. Jeff Scott Soto does the vocals on this. Another kind of jobbing singer who's great in Wet and Solo, Talisman and so on. Obviously great work with Malmsteen. He does a good job on this. I like this. My disappointment in this is John Norum plays another solo on this. He seems to be training off of Schenker. I was really expecting John Norum to let rip on this and take on the master. I wanted to be pupil and master dueling. But to me, he doesn't show up. Michael, peels off his sort of classic licks, his more recent interpretation of his solo. But I'm not feeling it from John. That guy could totally pull off the kind of Schenker Gary Moore thing. Particularly back in the days of Total Control Europe, and then the great Face the Truth album, Another Destination, Dokken, Up from the Ashes, great stuff. But I wasn't feeling it here, but I'm a big fan of John Norum, but anyway, just my take. And then you've got Rock Bottom. Again, this is unusual. You've got Kai Hansen singing, not someone I'd immediately pick to do this. Again, probably a huge UFO fan, big in Germany. Big influence on rock, obviously, in Gamma Ray. Kai Hansen's a pretty solid singer. He's not Michael Kiske. What's interesting about this is it gives you a studio version of the live version. So typically there's two versions of Rock Bottom. There's your studio version for 6 minutes, 7 minutes from the Phenomenal album. That's my preferred version with Schenker's incredible solo. Accomplished when he was only 19. I think it was recorded when he was 18. Still one of the great solos. And then his live kind of stretch out, which is really cool, nice jazzy, nice Dorian feel, but not quite as much structure. But he's been structuring it more as time has gone on, and he seems to have a bit more of a plan, and I think he captures it on this. If you see him live, there's a bit here in the middle, where he kind of does a breaks down, he does a palm muted thing, which I'm not totally keen on that, but I like that it's kind of put into it, and he's got that kind of thing. It's obviously for a bit of live dynamics. So some really cool licks on this, and then going into that classic harmony. So again, a solid job. Interesting to hear a version of it, how Michael does it live now. And then you've got Too Hot to Handle. This is track number 9. This is Jolene Turner. It's a bit too gritty on this for me. I need a cleaner vocal. Interestingly, obviously Jolene Turner does 2 vocals on this, so maybe someone else was intended for this. I'm not sure who I'd pick. Someone like a Danny Bowes of Thunder, or Joe. God, Little Angels. Toby Jepson, a British guy, would have been cool to get that kind of feel. Again, the Carmen Appice's playing drums on this, and he was just pushing a bit more on top of the beat for this for me. I think this was better, down, with a lazy sort of cowbell feel. Something I noticed on one of the tracks, it might have been this one, as the next track actually, the cymbals are very splashy. There's a nasty clanky cowbell at one point. The production, the way it's been put together, is probably piecemeal, which will come up, but it's, it sounds good. What I liked about this is he trades with Adrian Vandenberg, and Adrian Vandenberg's a guy I think's really been doing some good stuff recently. He's a player I've got mixed feelings about, but his latest stuff with Vandenberg is good. He seems to be playing well live. I like what he does on this. He's a big Schenker fan, and he kind of really brings out that Schenker styling, but in his own way. And I like that. I like that he's done that. Very, very cool solo, very wide vibrato. Michael's solo on this is good. There's some live footage of him doing Talk to Handle on the last tour, and I swear one of the solos on some of the live footage, I've never heard him do a better solo on it. Brilliant. Then you got Let It Roll. This has got Michael, the guy produces it. It'll come to me. Anyway, this had the kind of splashy cymbals on. His vox is decent. Again, not a particularly sort of anything interesting about his version, but it's got a solid middle solo. The harmonies are cool. The tempo's good. Again, this is a track I really like, but I've just heard it too many times. And finally, you've got Shoot Shoot. This is a good choice of track. Unfortunately, it's got Stephen Pearcy of Rat doing this, and Stephen Pearcy's long past his best, but his vocals are just too sleazy for this. He seems to be struggling with the pitch. And it sounds more like an OK Bar Band version. Michael does do the solo good, and he peels off his classic pentatonic, like diddle, diddle, diddle. And that's really, part of Michael's DNA as a guitar player, was the way he took the classic pentatonic and blues licks and energising with speeds, fast hammers, pull-offs, clean picking, with that, enhanced tone he had in the 70s. So overall, this is, it's 60 minutes long. I imagine the drums by Brian Tichy, Carmen Appice, Brian Tichy does most of them, and the bass, Barry Sparks, have been done in separate studios. They've been cobbled together. Centre Michael, I'll remember his second name soon. He's got Michael in studio, and then the other guitar solos have been flown in. So it's been put together. I'm always interested in what kind of budget there are for these things, Axl's not going to do it for now, is he? Or maybe he did. Maybe people did it for the love of rock. Maybe, I imagine the drums and bass they're doing every track. Presumably those guys are getting paid per track. Maybe it's $200, maybe it's $500, maybe it's more. I don't know, but I guess the company who's put this together has put it together as a project. They know their numbers on the vinyl, CDs and streams, and what they feel can put into it. I quite like the artwork, actually. I like the way it interprets a Stranger in Light's colour version with sketches of Michael at different periods. So there's a bit, there's a decent amount of love gone into it. I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. If you've not heard Michael Schenker before, if you want to kind of check out UFO stuff, this is a sort of part-way introduction, or you might want to check out UFO stuff and then listen to what it sounds like with a modern sound. The thing is, UFO had such a special sound, and Phil Mogg back then, he had a certain style of singing, more in the Paul Rodgers vein. It just fitted like a glove. Very kind of bluesy, but with a kind of little folky element. Really cool lyrics as well. A lot of the singing on these are kind of more metal-y. It's more how singing went. Miles' guitar's still good. I'm impressed with his standing on this. Sometimes the component parts sometimes lack the swing and feel, but they've obviously come for something different. They're not trying to do an exact copy. So, I'd leave it at that. I imagine maybe Michael's planning a tour with this. If Eric Gronholm's feeling up to it, because I know obviously he's had a bad cancer in the past, so he watches his health. It'd be great to see him out doing it, or Robin McCauley. I saw Michael Schenker Fest and Robin McCauley sung some UFO stuff, and he sounded great. So, you know, with Steve Mann, Bodo Schloff, his bass player, I forget the name of. It's a really good MSG lineup. Get Ron McCauley, get Ron Gronholm, and I think this will be a really good night. Okay, so remember, share and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you very much.